These are the books I want to read most in 2025. Don't get me wrong, I want to read just about every book that was ever written in 2025, but I have one of these things called I have to sleep and I have a job and it sucks. But until then, I'm going to try to read 80 books this year, and these are the ones I want to get to the most. One of the main series that I've heard nothing but fantastic things about has got to be Poppy War. Everyone and their mother has read this series, and I feel like I'm missing out on something because I heard it's one of the best fantasy series of all time, and that the way this is written just is unmatched with most modern fantasies that are coming out, and I want to get to this. Apparently I heard it's somewhat like a massive war-based fantasy, which is right up my alley because I love like learning so much about different tactics and things that people use to be able to win these sort of things. So I can't wait to get into this. Another series that I really want to get into is the Inheritance games. Obviously, this absolutely blew up not too long ago of it, just about every social media app there is. And I have read something by Jennifer Lynn Barnes before, the Natural series. I absolutely adored this series. I got to the point where I got it tattooed on my arm. And well, if it's anything like this, I'm going to love this. I just know I am. So hopefully this does not disappoint. I've heard some people say it is good, but like some like downsides here and there. But hopefully I see the goodness in this book. I'm going to say somewhat recently, but I know it's been at least 4, 5, 6 months. I purchased the Batman books by Stephen King, and the main reason I bought this book is because one of the books in this, because obviously it's a short story collection, has been discontinued and banned in certain areas of the world. And it's called Rage. I really want to read it. I want to see what made people want to ban this book and how like they got to the decision to the point where Stephen King, a well-renowned author, some people say one of the best authors that has ever existed. Why have they banned one of his books? What has he written that makes people go, yeah, we can't let anyone else read this ever again? But I can't wait to find out. So this has to be up there for me. Now, this is something I don't really want to admit to the world, but I've admitted a lot worse stuff. I recently have read Iron Flame and I kind of enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, there were certain points to it that really annoyed me, and the fact that it was just the same thing again and again and again for quite some time of it, but it was still decent to the point where I want to know more about the story, especially with how it ended. So yeah, I picked up Onyx Storm. I kind of want to know how this whole sort of story is going to continue, because apparently there's 5 books. And I did not feel like at all while I was reading the series that this is going to be a 5-book series. Apparently I just somewhat missed that sort of memo for some stupid reason. But yeah, I just want to know what the fuck's going to happen. That's the main thing. If you're into like some of the darker sides of horror and that sort of thing, then you've probably heard of Lapanova. And I've had this book for 2 years on my shelf. I've had it to the point where this is a before print copy, and I've just never got around to reading it. Even after all the hype and how good and disturbing it was mentioned thousands of times all over social media, I just for some reason never thought, you know what, right now, I'm going to sit down and read this book. But I do regret that, because now I feel like I'm a little bit behind in this sort of genre, and this seems to be one of the books you have to read. So definitely need to get into this year. If you weren't already able to tell just the fact that most of these books were just huge books that got big on social media, then you probably also heard this one. I do feel like I'm still just a little bit behind on all the overhyped books. I'm not even going to say they're overhyped because I've not read them yet, but majority of the time they are extremely overhyped. A Man Called Ove. Yep, this is the book that apparently everyone cried at, and no matter who you talk to, it's probably the best book they read that year, and thousands of other things that people would say nothing but great things about this. But I struggle with this sort of book, like the ones that are meant to make you feel all sorts of ways and make you be obsessed with these characters, even though they don't do anything particularly amazing, they just make you obsessed with them. So I think I might struggle with getting to this one because it's not something that's on the top of my thing, on my top of my TBR, but I do want to read it at some point just to see what everyone else was saying about this, see if it's true, see if it's as good as what people are saying. But I have a weird feeling it's probably not going to be. Am I delusional enough to think I'm actually going to be able to get to all these books at some point this year? Yeah, I think if I actually try to go for it, these could be easily done in like a month or 2, but I'm very bad at sticking with TBR to the point where I'll say I'm going to read these 6 books, and I'll choose anything else but these 6 books for the next year. I just have these sitting on my shelves for so long, just because it's the way I am as a person, apparently, even though I hate it about myself. But I am going to try. I am going to try and get to these, because I just need to read them to figure out what everyone else is saying, see if it's all correct, see if their opinions are actually correct. But we shall see. Wish me luck. I'm probably going to need it.